Pope Francis, the fairly liberal pope, is at it again. He wrote an 84-page document known as the Apostolic Exhortation. This is the first thing that he's authored since he became pope, and it actually has some really good points and some great lines. Quote, "I prefer a church which is bruised, hurting, and dirty because it has been out on the streets, rather than a church which is unhealthy from being confined and from clinging to its own security." So that's the first line that really caught my eye. And I mean, what he's calling for is actually a return to acting like Jesus Christ. He's saying, no, stop wearing your silly little dresses and sitting in your room masturbating to pictures of little boys. Did I go too far? Get out there in the real world and actually help people, but stay away from little boys. But feed people, care about people, actually try to end hunger, try to end poverty, do your job as a priest, actually act like Christ instead of just saying, I'm Christian. So that's the first thing I saw I liked. Listen to this. I mean, you want to talk about strong words? I haven't heard anything this progressive on economic issues, even from somebody like Bernie Sanders or Alan Grayson. The Pope said, quote, "Unfettered capitalism is a new tyranny." Wow. Wow, man. I'm not even sure I agree 100% with that. Now, I agree if you say, actually I do agree, because unfettered capitalism is kind of like a tyranny because it, basically enslaves 90 to 99% of the population, or wage enslaves 90 to 99%, and 1% does fantastically well. But if he were to say, drop the unfettered and just say capitalism is a new tyranny, I would actually disagree with that. So there's a good chance that this pope on economic issues is to the left of me. That's a wild thought. Quote, "How can it be that it is not a news item when an elderly homeless person dies of exposure, but it is news when the stock market loses 2 points?" Oh, that is a great point. He's saying, look at our priorities. If you turn on the news, what are they talking about? Stupid little he said, she said, Democrat versus Republican nonsense on the news in America. And they might talk about, oh, the stock market lost a couple points and Pepsi's down and Altria Group is up or whatever. Who cares? Where are your actual stories? Talk about the people who are dying because they don't have health care. Talk about the people who are starving in the street. Talk about the abject poverty and the 76% of people in America living paycheck to paycheck. Or the fact that about 50% of the entire world population, about 3 billion people, more than 3 billion people, live on $2 American or less every day. So again, I love how he's focusing the mind of Catholics, and he's actually talking about things from a principled perspective that matter. He cares about the issue of people that are struggling. And then my favorite point, he attacks the, quote, idolatry of money and tells politicians to guarantee dignified work, education, and healthcare. Quote, dignified work, education, and healthcare. So the Pope, the head of the Catholic Church, who, at least according to Catholic doctrine, is infallible. He's speaking for God. So conservatives, you can't argue against this. By your own doctrine, if you are a Catholic. I know there's a lot of conservatives who are Catholic. Bill Donahue, the head of the Catholic League, comes to mind. I know a lot of them in my own life, people who are conservative but Catholic. So if you are a Catholic, just understand, the infallible being, the Pope, who's listening to God and speaking for God, said that education and healthcare should be guaranteed. The Pope just called for universal education, universal college, higher education too, universal education, and universal healthcare. That would be a single-payer system. That would be a Medicare for all system. Well, allow me to say, sir, welcome to the club. We are very, very happy to have you here as a spokesperson, especially since you drag around a lot of people who really don't like to think for themselves. And they go, oh yes, whatever this man says is correct because it's my religion. Good. We welcome you. We hope every single Catholic will listen to you, right? Because you're infallible, right? So let's go ahead and get this done. Let's push for it. Let's lobby for it. Let's work towards it. because he's right on these issues, man. It's a no-brainer.